What time is it? Your show. Yeah, what time is it? Your show. Yeah, what time is it? Your show. Yeah, he's back from the dead. Your show. Putting it on the map, yeah. Saskatoon. Right next to New York. New York. Yeah, what show, yeah. Your show. What time is it? Your show. Yeah, time to talk some shit, yeah. Your show.
You've tuned in, yeah.
Yeah, fun Maggie. Bark, bark, wolf, wolf, who wants a treat, yeah. Keep listening.
Hello and welcome to another week of your show right here on the Dufferin Avenue Media Network. Still, as far as we know, the only live show to go 4 to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday here on YouTube in Saskatoon. Thank you so much for checking us out as Maggie literally just walked off. Girl, get back here. This is how you know we're live. No other station would allow a dog to be running wild like this. Margaret, please report. Come here, girl. Yeah, up all the way. Come on now. Come on. We also like to make up categories we're number one in, and today we're the number one category that features a dog to kick off every show that isn't in her spot. Megs, come here, girl. Let's tell them why. Let's tell them why you're here. Okay, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do this right. Let's head on over now to the Maggie Cam. There it is. As you can see, she's not quite in her spot, but she's close. There's her beautiful face. The Maggie Cam for our fantastic pals over at Pet Planet on 8th Street, your pet's natural grocer. Mike and Rochelle, along with Leroy, their beautiful puppy, always there to make your shopping experience the greatest you will ever have. As well, if you go after hours or on the weekends, you'll see Kirsten, Shar, or Chris, and they will continue to give you that quality that you know and expect from our friends over at Pet Planet on 8th Street, your pet's natural grocer. As well, we have, get this, a new Adventures with Maggie about to drop as we get set for Halloween time. She went shopping and picked herself out some lovely Halloween toys and maybe a costume or two. So be sure to check that out when it drops, as it's a whole lot of fun with our friends over at Pet Planet on 8th Street, your pet's natural grocer. I don't know, Marge. Might have to give you like a C+ for that effort. We'll work on that, though. We'll work on our spots. Animal, we got dragging on the ones and twos today. Animals are the hardest to work with on set, right? Yeah. So there's a reason not everybody does it. Of course, next to this diva right here. Before we get to the Tuesday edition of your show, which features the All Out of Angst podcast team, we here at the Dam Studios, located inside the Sonner Concrete Services Clubhouse, love to celebrate the holidays, and we love to, have fun around here. And with that in mind, we had a little Thanksgiving video that we shot earlier in honor of the holiday, and we're going to play that for you right now.
Here at the Dam family, we just want to say thank you. It's Thanksgiving, and we're very grateful with how things have been going lately. And so we thought, what festive thing can we do for Thanksgiving? And we decided that Gary would taste pies that Adam and I made, because why not? So I homemade a pie from my grandma's recipe, and Adam homemade a pie from some family recipe. And
it was supposed to be a family recipe.
Whatever.
Frankenstein.
It was a recipe.
It was a recipe.
Man-made.
It's you could call it a family recipe. I've used it numerous times before.
Yeah, exactly. It's his recipe now. And so we made pie, and Gary's going to try taste testing it and see which one's better. We have a nice pumpkin pie here and an apple pie.
Yes.
Why don't you describe your flavor profile and how it was made and such?
Sugar, cinnamon, and apples.
Simple.
But the thing I do differently when I make it, normally you mix your apples into your filling before, or you there's different ways of doing it. But the way I do it is I put the apples in the pie shell and I do the lattice top, and then I drizzle my sugar mixture over the whole thing, because that way the lattice part gets a bit of sugar on it, and you just use a little brush and brush it out so it's an even coating, and that way with the sugar kind of caramelizes on the top of the lattice and just makes it nice and crispy on the top as well. Man. And you get good coating on all the apples because it filters down through.
That was way too intimate for explaining food.
Yeah,
that was
pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Well, this is my grandma's recipe. One side of the family's recipe is the crust or the pastry, and then the other side is my other side of the family's recipe. So it's like amalgamation. So
this pie literally is a symbol of both sides of your family coming together.
Yeah, that's a stoner thought right there.
on Thanksgiving. On Thanksgiving.
So
It's beautiful.
So yeah, and like authentic vanilla beans from Mexico have been infused into the crust, and
I
it's
bought
very
Gala apples from Sobeys.
These weren't hand-picked from an orchard just
No,
outside of town?
I made apple pies a couple months ago with apples from our tree, but I forgot to double the flour when I
Oh, yeah, we talked about
so they were a little bit watery. So my
didn't
dad and
go
I
well.
had to make the sacrifice of eating 2 pies by herself. It was just terrible.
I should also say family farm grown pumpkins
Come
too.
on.
So
Organic.
yeah. Well, whatever.
Whatever that means.
So let's start off with presentation.
Well,
How
before
are we
we
looking?
before we do, we posted a poll on the Viewing Room Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Yes, you
and just saying, who do you think's going to win? And I think it was slightly in your favor. It was like 50 some.
56-44,
Yeah,
something like that.
so-
Yeah.
You've been paying people off?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I also voted on myself.
It's just all his friends that follow the
Yeah,
Viewing
friends
Room.
and family. I get it. I understand. Well, I did eat an entire pie last night, and it was in 3 sort of trips, though. So I'd eat a little bit, put it in the fridge, come
Sort
back
of like
an
that
hour
Dairy
later.
Queen log cake
Yeah,
you ate the other day.
Such a great example. I log caked an entire pumpkin pie last night. So I'm already still full of pie. So this is good. I can have a sort of idea of what I'm getting into. So which one do we want to start with, presentation-wise? Right to left or left to right?
Well, you tell us which one looks better.
Well, now
from
that I know
your
the
angle.
backstory
or
of
hold
this,
it up, or
the backstory of this guy, 2 families coming together, one laying down the foundation that is the crust, while the other coming in and saying, we're going to put our little touch on top. There's a lot of emotions packed into that slice. But this guy, this looks like something that you would walk into a bakery and would see on display on the shelf. It looks like it's been melted a little. It looks like it should almost be heated up.
You can heat it up. We can
I
run
don't
it
know.
in,
I
put
feel
it
like
in
we
the
might be
microwave for a minute.
doing it injustice, but 2 totally different styles here. And then the pumpkin pie is just pumpkin pie. It's like I saw you last night.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did bring whipped cream for the pumpkin pie as well. I just don't like to put it on before because you want to keep your whipped cream cold so it doesn't melt.
This guy gets it. So what we're doing here, we're doing a slice by slice with Asher review. One in the front,
Yes.
one in the crust.
Yes. Yeah, because the
to
crust
see
is a
that
very
way.
important part.
It
you know?
is. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to start.
What are you looking for in a crust? I just want to know, like, do you like flaky? Do you like more doughy? What do you like
I
in a
like
crust?
buttery. I like when you.
There's no butter in a.
Well,
in a
then this is
proper
going to be an
crust.
issue for me. But I'll get over it.
There's
I'm
no butter in a
sure-
proper crust.
Yeah. Well,
do you do the thing where you like
You know
put
what
the
I mean,
egg
though?
whites on the outside and then like fork it?
Oh,
It
like
fluffs up a
egg
bit.
wash the
Yeah.
the crust? Yeah, I do that.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like I like when you bite into it. It's got like it doesn't flake away. It's like buttery. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain that. I guess butter was clearly if it's not in there. Either way, I love how they both look. I don't know which one to start with because I feel like whichever one I start with. is gonna-
Just start with one. My pre-video prediction was that you weren't going to be able to pick a winner.
You guys know me so well. It's almost
Yeah.
like I've told you stories and we're
Right.
judging things. Oh my god! I haven't broke a fast this early in months,
Yeah.
and it's worth it. It's layered. It's textured.
Yeah.
That cream, this on top. Whoo! And you get a little bit of that in the middle. What's all this? Is that banana?
I love how vague that is. You just described the pie.
Is this a banana cream pie?
That's a pumpkin pie.
This is pumpkin.
What do you mean it's
Whoa.
banana?
Here we go.
I should have just said yes.
Yeah, I was hoping you would. Very light crust.
Yeah, it's good crust.
Yeah, very light.
Adam should taste it too afterwards. We should have
Okay.
Adam officially try.
Here we go. We're going to Appletown now.
Sure.
Go Apple
Not
Town.
just a good rum. Gonna make sure I get some of that. Get some of that and some of that.
It looks like a banana cream pie.
Always Sunny in Philadelphia did a whole episode on cream pies. Very funny. All right, here we go. Look at that.
There's a lot of tension in this room. I just want to say, like, Adam and I are like this close to fighting.
The apple flavor. And the cinnamon, the sugar.
See it? Apple, cinnamon, and sugar.
He's just listing off the ingredients.
I'm just saying
know,
words
right?
now, man, because I just want to eat all of it. Now we're going to crust up here. Oh, no,
You know,
don't
that
you dare.
flour really blends in nicely with the nutmeg.
There's no nutmeg. No. You got to be simple when you're making the apple pie. Just a wee bit of cinnamon.
That crust has that buttery. I know there's not butter in it, but that taste I'm looking for.
Okay, good.
Oh. Whew. What an adventure. Well, guys, am I doing the pumpkin pie too? Mom's pumpkin pie?
If you want to.
Yeah.
I
know
can
what's
get
gonna
you the
happen.
pecan pie that I made on Friday as well.
Come on, you guys. Why is such a pie
Here, I'll get
fest?
you the pecan pie as well.
It's not March 14th, is it? Are you guys playing me right now?
No.
Okay.
So, I'm curious though. On a normal day, if you walk into a pie store and you're offered a slice of pie, which pie are you taking?
Oh my God.
Like normally.
There you go, more pie.
I've never been a dessert guy, guys.
Never been.
I've never been a dessert guy. I've never been a pie guy. So when I quit drinking, I started exploring all these new things like ice cream and pie. And so that means I'm a target because I love all of it. Because I've never had it.
Sure.
So, look at that butter tart party going on over here.
It's essentially the same
got
thing
it.
except
Oh.
with pecans instead of raisins.
What a substitution.
See, and that is like pecan pie is one of my favorites, and my grandma used to always make it. That was always her thing. At Thanksgiving, she'd make a pecan pie, but nobody knows where her recipe went. And so I've been trying to find a similar recipe, but I haven't been able to find it, and it's just not the same. Obviously, grandma's recipe is
Never
always
replicate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what makes them special. Well, boys, I'll tell you, the cop-out move would be to say Mrs. Brookman's pumpkin pie is a winner. But clearly that won't suffice for
Well,
the
I'm okay.
thirst
I
for blood you guys
just
have here.
between our two pies,
Yes.
like just the apple and the pumpkin.
And I'm okay being second because this is my first time making pie.
That's the other thing is it is your first time, and I've made pies many times before. So
Well, you guys are just
I know-
you guys are steering me into a judgment here, I think, is what it feels like. You're saying it's okay if I'm second. You're saying I better be first because I've been doing this forever.
no, I'm not saying I better be first. I'm just saying
No, but I did tell my mom yesterday when I said that we were going to do this that,
Yeah.
I definitely admire how great you are at making pies, and that if I could even sit on the same table as you and present one of my own pies, that would be just a dream come true.
Did we complete a dream today?
I think we did.
That's incredible. That's a win right there.
First ever pie, first ever contest.
All right, guys.
I'll take a silver medal.
Well, I'll tell you right now. It's two totally different things.
That's
first
true.
off.
That's true,
So I'm going to give this one first place in actual pie. 12 out of 10. 12 apples out of 10 for this thing right here. The crust incredible. And the crisscross applesauce on the top. What do you call it? Lattice?
it's called a lattice top.
Yeah. Which
And
is
a lot of people
crazy.
they don't actually do like the full
You gotta weave it.
over under.
You gotta weave
but
it.
I do the over under.
You can tell it's been
everything.
weaved. That's what I mean.
See, that's what I was gonna say. I was like,
And that's a lot more work, but that comes from practice. This, my friend, this is a 12 out of 10 as well. This is first
pumpkins
place. First
It's
place.
12 pumpkins out of 12 or 10 pumpkins.
First place
in the pumpkin
in
division.
the cream pie division. This to me is a cream pie.
Yeah,
Because it's
okay.
got more cream on top than it does of the pumpkin. But the crust is so delicious
Sure.
and light, and that is a winner in the cream pie division. So, boys, 12 out of 10s both ways. That's 24 pumpkins. 24 pumpkins and 24 apples to make 48 out of 10 combined. That's called stoner math, my friend. Couple winners here. It's a tie. Big surprise. I'm actually going to give you both an infinity because that's my new thing to give people whenever I review it. It's never going to stop going up. It's infinity. Congratulations.
Well, thank you for trying them.
Thank you for bringing your family together. And thank you for weaving the lattice.
I would
things.
say, like, I saw the photo of your lattice and I knew I lost, but I did think we were both making pumpkin pies. So,
Well, and I
He
think
threw a
here's
curveball
the
on
other
there.
thing is, did your family enjoy the pie?
yes.
Yes, and my family enjoyed the pie as well. So really, that's what matters.
And
As
I
long as you
enjoyed the
enjoy
pie.
it.
In
And
fact,
that's
the
it.
first pie that I made was gone before I even had a slice. That's how much it was.
So
good.
there you go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's two totally different things. That's a great point.
Yeah,
Thank goodness
exactly.
you didn't bring in two of the same, or else this would have been way harder.
I did make 2 pumpkin pies.
Well, of course you did, and your mom did, and it's fantastic. I already
Yeah.
said that one won.
Yeah.
But this is the guy that I would just
The
take
pecan?
with my hand and just
Oh
walk
yeah,
around like
no,
a square.
I love pecan pie.
Yeah. See, and I never knew I did.
Exactly.
It's
I've
great.
been apparently we've been eating pecan pies all along, just calling them butter squares or butter cups. What do you call those? things?
butter tarts.
Butter tarts.
Well, that
thank
is
you.
slightly. It is butter tart is different because it's like
the
the tart.
grapes.
It's the
or
tart.
not the grapes, raisins.
Raisins, which
Yeah.
are grapes, but the tart and it's slightly different.
Yeah. No, this is the pecan.
Anyways, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations to both of you.
That was
Champions.
impressive.
I'm just happy you guys got me to break my fast so early. This is good. Now I can just eat all day.
Yeah.
Look out, world. I'm going to gain 10 pounds. Happy
I think
Thanksgiving.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Happy
Yeah, happy
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
What a day. It's not even noon yet. Woo. I hope we didn't say anything too inappropriate at the end. Are we safe? Are we still on the air there, Dragon? Okay. Woo. That's why they say always edit yourself. instead of putting it in someone else's hands. As being in between the viewing room is always a great time. That was the co-hosts of one of our favorite shows around here. New episode dropping today. And not only is it a new episode of the viewing room, they review the greatest Batman movie of all time, which is the original 1989 Batman that we all came to know and love so much. The great Michael Keaton as the only Batman ever, and Jack Nicholson as the only Joker ever. Because we still say to this day, have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? And that is from that movie. As we're going to go one more Maggie cam here as she's finally found her spot, and we are going to make sure we get a good one in for our friends over at Pet Planet on 8th Street, your pet's natural grocer. There she is, quietly, coyly waiting for the second that I stand up again, because she knows the second I stand up from this point on, that means it's time to eat supper. And we get that supper from Pet Planet on 8th Street, your pet's natural grocer. Well done, Margaret. Very well done. And thank you for that. Tuesdays around here always star the All Out Angst podcast boys as we carry over a lot of the conversations we have during the recording of said podcast, which you can find on all of the audio places where you find podcasts. New episodes drop on Thursday, but they are here as they always are yet again. Ladies and gentlemen, Uncle Mike and Matt from the Bands. We got the boys back together again, and it looks like we're going to get a little continuation going on. But before we get to any of that, let's reintroduce everyone and see how you're all doing on this Tuesday as another week has gone by. Matt, how are you, old friend?
I'm great. I shaved today, and now that we're in front of a camera, it's nice. It feels good, you know. I do that kind of bi-monthly, but yeah. So I'm feeling kind of that. I'm feeling fresh, you know,
fresh and clean,
but still a little bit full from the bubble and squeak that me and Aaron were enjoying today.
Explain bubble and squeak real quick.
Okay, so this is a tradition from Aaron's brought from her family, and
Yes.
we take the leftovers. Mashed potatoes, any vegetables or whatever, and then you kind of use breadcrumbs, egg, and make a little pancake, and then you fry it with some butter in a pan, and it bubbles and it squeaks.
Hence the bubble and squeak. I am happy to report that all that extra pie that was left on the table lasted about an hour before I destroyed all of it. So thank you again, not just to Dragon and LB, but as well to Mrs. B, who cooked a lovely pumpkin pie that I absolutely enjoyed the hell out of. It was fantastic. So thank you to the boys again. Uncle Mike, from all the natural products, how are you today, old friend?
I'm doing dandy.
Yeah.
Can't complain.
You look great.
Thank you. I did not shave.
Yeah, me either. It's becoming a problem for me. You
Or
got
I
some
did.
overgrowth in the front? I've been eating a lot of whiskers lately.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
In here.
I find it's the constant, I had a buddy trying to tell me, he's like, yeah, I'm growing my mustache and I keep like shaving it, but then it gets pokey. And I'm like, yeah, you just got to not shave it. You just got not
Power
trim it,
through.
let it grow, and then eventually it'll kind of grow out, and then you can pull it
Oh,
to the
so
side.
you don't trim it.
Don't trim. I mean, twice a year I'll go
I
for
feel
a
like that-
haircut and a beard trim, and she'll like do it
Shape
up,
it.
shape it, whatever. But I tried like trimming my beard and shit, occasionally, and then it would, you end up with like these sharp, pokey bits right on the mustache, and then I never knew what I was doing. I'm not a friggin' barber. And then the best advice that I ever gave myself was just let it grow. And then it just
Let it
grows, and then
grow.
eventually it kind of
Let
pulls
it
out to
grow.
the side, and then it stays out of your mouth, kind of. But you don't end up with like the pokey mustache.
Because that was my issue in my failed experiment where I think I made it 3, maybe 4 weeks, and yeah, I was trying to like trim it because I'm trying to eat soup here. Like, come on, man. And yeah, I trimmed it, and then it was just didn't feel comfortable, and it wasn't for me.
It's a very hard battle, and I've only seen one other person try, and I've sort of been like half-assing it, but powering through to the point where you form a natural whole right here. My buddy Grandma, by the way, Story Time with Uncle Grandma is getting very close. He sent me an intro he made, which I'm very excited for as we're bringing a whole nother show onto the network. That's probably going to be a lot of crossover with this little group of ours, as it's basically him telling stories from the road, from basically being a drummer his entire life. I think 37 or 38 different bands he's played in.
crazy.
And he's got stories about all the people. And all of those people are also going to be a part of this. So it's a very cool new dynamic that we got going on. But he was the first guy. When I said, dude, how do you like keep the mustache and sort of that area open? He goes, what do you mean? Like, well, like how do you form it like that? He says, I didn't do
Carve it
anything.
out, or like what do you?
He says, I didn't do anything. I just power through it. I'm like, what do you mean he power through? He's like, he smoked cigarettes and he smoked joints and it would burn around and he would eat and pull away while he was eating. And it was like about a month of that, just fighting with this area of his face until it all just formed. So every time he smoked or ate, there was not a single hair in line. And that's what you got to do. You literally have to just power through the entire idea of that being there until it's
But
not.
I still don't tell me you're not changing your like lifestyle to fit this beard. Like you're at like a backyard barbecue and there's like some nice like corn on the cob or whatever. Like you're probably like, oh, I really want nope, not today. Not today.
I can't be doing it. I'm going through too much right now. I'm too invested in this facial hair.
No, but that's how you get the trim. Is you eat an apple, you eat a corn on
power.
the cob, and then you're eating half your whiskers. But that's how it kind of naturally
Eliminates all the ones.
The best thing you can do for it is do nothing.
Yeah.
Is really.
That's what I'm trying to say. That was the.
Yeah.
Could have saved
I'm
us about
talking
10
with the
minutes there. That's my bad. I'm
I'll sum it
sorry
up.
about
I'll
that.
sum it up. You know.
Okay, so we're going to get back into this, and we've had a very cool sort of thing happen where most of the time when you put stuff out to people, and this is how I got so sour on it, because when I was working at the other place, you put, an idea out because you were told, put a topic out and make people talk about this or that. It's pie day. Get people's favorite pies. That's what people want to hear. So you would put it out there and no one would respond because it's stock stuff that no one cares about. And then you sit there like, well, I have to talk about this stupid thing, but no one's responding. And that happens over and over with all the dumb stuff that you're told to do. And then you're turned off from the idea. But it's so nice to come from a place where it's actually done properly and where it's been put out there and it naturally brings in natural feedback. And you, Matt from all the bands, have done that on the Facebook machine, and I've been loving seeing what's going on with all this because you're getting responses to questions that we can talk about around here.
Yeah, and again, like I said, it was about one idea for every 20. It was kind of, everyone tests out their stand-up comedian chops. But yeah, we got lots of stuff to work from, and I legitimately, it wasn't like, okay, let's put this out here, so, to try and get I wanted to know some topics, and
You're
I
talking
think
to your buddies.
Yeah, I think we
That's what it
got
is.
quite a few that we'll be able to dip
And
into.
that's the difference between somebody at a radio station putting something out to radio listeners compared to somebody asking his buddies questions on something totally different. And that's sort of the dynamic I'm acknowledging, is that this is how you're supposed to do it.
And it's cool because generally most of the friends that I have on Facebook were acquired. We played shows together. So I know them through some sort of artistic platform or this or that. And so everyone kind of had some decent ideas. Where they put out their question, but then they had their stance on it, which is it's nice.
Yeah.
To actually get real responses.
That's
And then
what
it's
I'm
obviously Steve Morari's
My
was,
boy, I
he was-
love me some
his-
Steve Ferrari. Love you, bro.
His ideas of
So sweet.
reading books silently and then just giving, just a little Cole's notes at the end. That was one of his, and said we should talk about ghost stories because everyone likes that. So yeah, he
how
gave
we
us a lot of good material.
And he's a guy we talk about here all the time. Like growing up, I played baseball with the dude, and as well our passion for music, because when I think he was with Disposer at the time. And I had a little band that I'd started with my buddy Jeff Peterson, who you can see on this cup right here. Look at that. We were named Revless, me and this guy, in grade 7, I think, or grade 8. And we wrote a song called Milky Lick Tits. And Steve wanted to cover it and do it. He's like, man, can we do that? So I was like, yeah, of course you can. And the best part is it was just me on guitar going like, there's like one chord, and then Jeff just doing a punk beat. And it was just like, milky, milk. Like, you can imagine how it went.
Yeah.
Like, I can't try to do it. But I'll never forget Steve Ferrari asking if he could cover that song. And it was on, then he gave me a cassette tape after with like different songs on it. And like there was like banger after banger. There's like an OWC song on there, and there's like all this, and then Milky Licked It. Like, oh, what a good guy. Anyway, point is, we love him. He's such a good dude, and just get some
And
feedback from
he's
him.
great with Seinfeld references.
Yeah,
I played
loves 'em.
slow pitch with him.
Yeah.
Pretty much hits home run every time.
I've been negotiating, trying to get him on this very show. I guess the cat's a little bit out of the bag, but I'm not sure in what capacity it would be, but I just want to get him on the network because he's such a funny dude.
Yeah.
So, Steve, if you're watching this, that's us saying to you, it's time to get you on here, buddy. We'll start Zooming with him maybe in the coming weeks and figure something out. So, point being, of all of this run around and dancing that we have done, we had a sort of question come up about what did you call it?
Basically, just kind of like our musical journey from like
that's the word.
the beginnings of, you know, when we started listening to music to where we are now in our
Yes.
our old codger and training phase.
And with that in mind, we're going to recap real quick because we started on this over on the All That Angst podcast, and then we run out of time like we tend to do because that podcast is only about half hour long, and we carried over into the live version of your show. So we want to recap, I guess, really quick about how far we've gotten already. So who wants to? You want to start? Well, let's go in the same order we did before.
Okay, yeah. So, like I said, for me, like my very first introduction to music was in the church or whatever. So, like, you would hear these super flat harmonies, and I just like seeing the organ being played, and my mom played organ. So that was the first kind of introduction to harmony in music, and I just it wasn't great, but I knew that I enjoyed it, and it made me feel something.
Yeah, and then that went to me, and I was talking about how same thing, church. I was an altar boy forever. Being around like 20 to 30 people all together, singing differently, but having it sound the same, blew my mind. And that's when I fell in love with harmonies. I thought it was Iron Maiden that made me fall in love with harmonies, but no, it was church. So that was sort of my first thing into realizing what type of music I really enjoy. And then I went to Uncle Mike.
Yeah, and obviously the kind of the same introduction, I guess, in church, and then you know,
How church, hey?
yeah,
Everyone sits here. and
brings everyone together.
Yeah, we say no politics, no religion, but we will say
No.
church taught us to love music, so that's something.
And the
Yeah.
acoustics in those venues,
Ooh,
man.
the organs, okay.
And then, yeah, I mean, you know, driving around with my parents, either going to school or family road trips, listen to the Bee Gees on 8-track, you know, working out on the acreage, you know, classic movie soundtracks in my mom's old 85, 87 Thunderbird, you know, Roxette, Cocktail, Beverly Hills Cop, yeah, classics, you know.
And I'll still go on record on this show too. Cocktail is a trash movie.
How did Cocktail hurt you?
I just didn't like it. It wasn't entertaining.
I don't know if
I
I even
didn't really
remember. I
go
mean, have you
anywhere.
watched it
I know
Hold
what
on.
we didn't finish.
Let's do a quick synopsis. Tom Cruise walks into a bar. He's like, "I'm going to make some drinks," and that's the movie.
Pretty much, yeah. I think they're going after the. He's a good looking guy.
Ah, it's always looks. Maybe the viewing room will do a review of Cocktail for us.
I would say I'd probably get,
Dragon didn't look too pumped.
I don't know why, but I would if you were to ask me to pull up a scene from Cocktail, I would not know what.
Yeah, I don't know anything. I don't think I've ever seen it.
But in my mind, always goes to Roadhouse. Because
Road-
Now
Road-
that's a movie.
I mean, yes.
Road boob. I mean
There's
Roadhouse.
a new Roadhouse too. They
Yeah.
did a remake. Have
Yeah.
anybody seen it?
No, it's garbage.
Yeah,
It's-
probably.
Not worth
it's
your money.
Like the fighting scenes have these
mean, I wouldn't
weird
pay
like
for it.
frame rates and stuff in them.
It's
that-
like
yeah.
UFC guys. Isn't
Yeah,
it? There's like,
it's
I think like a Conor McGregor type
Yeah.
of guys in there or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, not for me. No, the original Dalton will be the only Dalton. Thank you very much. And that's another movie I didn't see till I was in like my mid-30s.
Really?
And that's why I always think about carrying an extra tire with me anywhere I go, but I don't because I don't have extras.
But the thoughts there, which is
always.
nice.
I learned to always bring an extra tire, but I just never do.
Or you could be like
Think about bringing it.
Think
back.
about it.
be
Yeah,
like
that's the
into eternity on one of our tours where we've got the spare tire. It's just not filled up.
That's
yes,
like
classic.
So we're, like
one
halfway
step at a time. That's pretty sweet. For me, the whole sort of next step from the church stuff turned into the big four, I called it, of the cassettes we used to run. We go through when we go to the lake, be it to Waskasoo or to the Cabinet Pike Lake or the other different places we would go as we did a lot of traveling in the suburban. My dad had the American Graffiti soundtrack on one cassette, had the best of CCR on another cassette, had Led Zeppelin's 4 on another cassette, and then he had the Anthology of Bread. I don't know why I can't do 4. That's weird. Yeah. But the 4th one. And everyone always says, okay, so you got like 3 like monumental monster albums. How does Bread get in there? And I have no idea how it got in, but the song Everything I Own, to this day, still just brings me all the way back. I call it one of those DeLorean songs where it takes me right to the back seat of the Suburban going to the lake. And it's such a beautiful song, and no one ever talks about Bread, let alone the album called The Anthology of Bread. So I would give everything I own just to have you back again, just to touch you once again. It's a beautiful love song. Shout out to Bread. Are we caught up? I think that caught it up. Or did we go one more?
Well, basically, so yeah, we had our goober phase. Like for mine was obviously the New Kids on the Block and MC Hammer.
started the goober
but
phase, I
yeah,
got you, yeah.
and then I think from there we went into the Columbia House phase, which is kind of like the first step where we started, picking our own music.
Expanding our own music,
Yeah.
yeah. And that sort of got us into, like I talked about how I went to the planet Endor, I guess the moon Endor, where the Ewoks live, and I got a copy of. It was actually in Honolulu, in Hawaii. It was a flea market in the middle of like a tree village, and I got Dookie by Green Day for like $4, and it blew my mind. And I was like, oh my god! And that was sort of the thing until I went and listened to Survival of the Fattest, which was the actual album that made me understand what punk rock was and started that fire for me. Anyone missing? Uncle Mike?
No, kind of went down that same road, I guess. Was the Green Day, Offspring.
Yeah. That was like everyone's starter kit, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dookie and Smash.
And then I mean, really, it was actually this band from Ireland called Therapy, and they were kind of more like maybe industrial punk. I don't know. I don't really know
you
what
find
they
out
fit
through
into.
your friends.
So this was So my buddies,
yeah.
they, his mom was Irish, his dad was English. They would go to Ireland and England almost every year because they had friends over there or family over there. Big U2 fans, but they would jam in their basement, and they kind of turned me on to this band Therapy. They would cover a bunch of their songs. They would cover some Nine Inch Nails, and yeah, I just remember like, oh shit, like this is different, than kind of what I'm listening to. And then he gave me a cassette with the Minor Threat discography and Dead Kennedys' Fresh Fruit and Rotten Vegetables, and that was like the nail in the coffin for me as to like, this is the music I will listen to for the rest of my life.
I would say, yeah, the Minor Threat and the Dead Kennedys, both of those bands, I knew music was going to be a big part of my life from that moment on, for sure.
And look at that. Caught up perfectly. Just in time for a reset, so we sound professional as you are hanging out with the All Out of Angst podcast crew. New episode dropping every Thursday. And we take over every Tuesday in the damn studio and do the live Your Show as well with our incredible team. I want to give all the love and support and everything else to our good friend Royal Anders, who has arrived and is in the house. Hello, Royal Anders. There he is. You can hear him. He's over in the chill lounge, chilling out, doing his thing. He does all of our website stuff. He's Mr. Website. So if you ever head to dufferinave.com, he is the guy that created it. The easiest to maneuver website on planet Earth, all because I hate maneuvering on websites. He took that into consideration. I'm sure you hate it too. So feel free to check that out. And with that, I feel like we have caught up.
We're there.
To our list. I'm out of breath, so I need a breather. Let's get back to work here.
Yeah, this would be the fifth one on my list. So I've got it as like my introduction to metal. But again, just for a time period, this is like 19 years old. So I would say probably like 2001-ish, that kind of zone. And at that point, I was played in Untimely Demise, the punk band version, and we were listened to all the punk stuff. But then there was a moment where Matt, our other guitar player, he had brought Best of Megadeth. It was like a Capital Punishment or something, Megadeth. There was that, and Yngwie Malmsteen, and then Children of Bodom, Follow the Reaper. And I heard those three albums and was kind of like, oh, this is really good, and I need to get better at playing guitar. But I know at that time, basically started like intentionally only buying heavy metal from that moment on, because I was like, this is where I want to go.
Took the full dive.
Yeah.
You went all in.
And then also at that time, maybe just a little bit past, but I had went into university, and when you're studying and stuff, you don't want lyrics. So
Right.
I listen to music and feel it so much that if it's on,
You're singing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So like you're
that's
trying
my big
to study, it's tough. But I don't want to just sit in silence. So then I got into classical music, and that was like my first introduction to like, Mozart and these things,
All
and
that
just
other stuff,
kind of listening to music in a passive, like not going out and crushing beers and listening to music, but just having it in the background whilst I did something else. And I ended up taking like an introduction to music theory at the U of S because of that or whatever.
How cool
which,
is that?
Which again, out of all the stuff that I took in the university, that introduction to music is the thing that I use to this day all the time. It taught, harmonies, inversions, all these different intervals, just things that I use when creating songs. So yeah, there's the heavy metal, the classical, and then also I remember when I was going into university, I felt like I needed to have like a more mature kind of,
Right.
eclectic taste. So I went into Vinyl Exchange, I bought 3 records. I bought Best of Cat Stevens.
Yes.
I bought Best of Simon and Garfunkel.
Nice.
And then what was the other one? I think I wrote it down here.
He's so prepared. This is amazing.
Oh yeah,
We got a new producer, by the way.
the Police.
Oh, yeah.
The one was So Lonely. I forget.
Any idiosyncrasy? No.
I don't know. I got the greatest hits, which has
Yeah.
all the bangers on it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
as soon
think
as I
it
go,
was
no, it wasn't. No,
synchronicity.
that's thank you. When I
but-
say idiosyncrasy,
yeah.
no,
But
it's
yeah.
also not synchronicity.
So yeah, that
Either
around
one.
my like 20s phase, it was like I'm heavy metal's my life, but you know I also want to listen to some other stuff.
Is she coming in? Oh,
Taylor, do you want to come in?
she left. Shout out to Taylor, making her debut on the show. You heard her voice for like a half second. So much for our plan of introducing her.
I know.
Should I go wrangle her?
It's fine. We'll get her on next time. That's the new employee over at Uncle
Hey,
Mike's.
you don't know me, but I know Mike.
Get in here. Come have some fun. Okay, so next level. This is our so basically our 19 plus
Yeah.
sort of where we were at.
So I don't.
Is that okay? Or- I
No,
don't wanna
no,
cut you
that's
off.
good. I don't want that. That was at my point.
Yeah,
I
no,
I
of
switched
course,
over
yeah.
to heavy metal. I still listen to punk, but I kind of was a little bit of a Judas to it. And yeah, not gonna lie.
You listened properly, my friend.
Yeah, I would say at actually maybe a few years prior, I went through more of a hardcore stage, maybe. I mean, I was kind of always like from 12, 13 up until present time, kind of listening to the same music, but definitely got into I don't know, some Total Chaos, some Exploited, some Cryptopsy, some Cannibal Corpse, kind of just broadening my horizons. Cripple Bastards, 10 Count.
I was
Just
sick of those names. you
I
just
know.
dropped.
Well,
Come on.
It's amazing.
That's what I wanted out of this.
Yeah.
Is just a crap load of name dropping.
Ensign, freaking, I don't know. And then it was like probably into my 19s, I kind of not got out of it, but I guess like a lot of No Use for a Name, a lot of Lagwagon, a lot of
got
No
softer.
Effects.
Yeah.
I kind of almost got soft. Like I went kind of soft, and then I kind of went harder, and then I kind of stepped
like
back.
you're-
Good riddance.
You're
you
working
know,
the
like-
tracking on your VHS.
yeah, you got to adjust it a little
Get
bit,
that
find the
just
sweet
right.
spot,
That's
you know.
right.
And I mean, really, at that point, I felt I had been exposed to the genres that I would listen to the rest of my life, and so it just has kind of, stayed within that set
Yeah.
of tracks, kind of thing. But yeah, and then I mean, going on a little later, maybe we're not there yet, but that's when I found I was working on the road, 19, 20, 21, 22, and it was like, yeah, I made, I don't know, like it was like an easy listening, but maybe not easy listening is what would be the easy listening genre, but it was like, yeah, Simon and Garfunkel and like Bob Marley and like Blue Oyster Cult, just, yeah, random, I found these CDs that it was like a driving mix, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, and it was all of this kind of stuff, and it was
Those are great picks. And again, like for the CDs that I listen to this day in my kitchen and my car, like Bob Marley Legend, just like the best of, and like I'll always listen to Simon and Garfunkel. It's
Yeah.
just again harmonies and
Oh,
great
yeah.
songwriting.
yeah.
That's it. See, and you're going to really like where I'm coming from here because you were like a pretty big part of this. As once I had discovered Survival of the Fattest and discovered punk rock and sort of going from there realizing that I love No Effects, that sort of led to my first taste of that sort of more hardcore aggressive stuff with Maximum Rock and Roll, which was an album by No Effects. It's a metal album,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
That and like Liberal Animation were like really hardcore. And I was like, I don't know if this is a little too much. Like I like my punk
That
rock
was
sort
too
of a little
heavy
bit
for
less,
me
right?
at the time.
Yeah. So that sort of turned me off for a long time from all of that stuff. And then my brother Noel and my main man Mitch, we got this house on 4th Street. And they were my roommates, and we would hang out there, and guys would come through. And guys, I became friends with guy number 1, the original Kyle in the Kyle and Gary Super Awesome podcast that we used to do. And he was a huge metalhead. So he would come in and he introduced me to all of sort of like the metal bands I grown to love, just as like up to now I still listen to like the Amon Amarths
Yeah.
and like all the Viking metal stuff and like the Death Clock stuff from Metalocalypse and like Destroy and all these different like bands that I would have never gotten into if I didn't spend every Friday and Saturday hanging out with Crazy Kyle and getting drunk and listening to metal. So he would get me into that. But as well, I had Noel, who brought in the classical music for me. So he had all those different, like, and I've talked about this before, the Sebastian Bachs and like the Rossinis and the Mozarts and all this stuff. And it was like best ofs. And he got me in, because he would sit there and strum away to them and he would play all of like the actual music from these CDs. So I started getting into this classical side of things to the point where I would find it so soothing that I would just lay down and fall asleep to the classical stuff.
Yeah.
But he introduced me to all of the older metal bands as well through his Paul Gilbert Learn to Play albums and all those different, like the Jason Becker albums,
Yeah.
like that, the Learn to Plays. And with that, I met Merbs and Matt from Untimely Demise. And then I said, okay, well, I love what these guys are doing. Give me more, give me more. And then it leaned me into the older Metallica. And like you say, getting into the Megadeths and getting into the Iron Maidens. Like I was so late on all of this metal stuff because I was, like you said, I was so committed to the punk rock stuff. I didn't want it too heavy.
And that's just how it is. Like sometimes you just need to really delve into a genre or album,
exactly.
and you don't
You gotta
have.
give it a
You
chance.
know that this is something that I might get into, but right now I just don't have the listening time in the day for it.
And it also helps when your buddies come over on a Friday night and jam while you're at the house and you're thrashing right there. You're there, Merbs is over there, Noel's over here, and here's me. Like, are you guys hearing this? And like understanding how cool it is to watch a guy, you know, fret tap and then harmonize and squeal and do all the cool stuff that happens.
But it was always nice anytime we'd have a good harmony going or something that we felt good, and then you'd be like, oh yeah, like from the other room, you're like, that sounds good.
And I
or
was
whatever.
always doing that.
Yeah.
I'd always give him my 2 cents because he would always be asking. And make no mistake, that bond between me and metal was formed during that time because of you guys. Because I would never give it the time of day, but once it was, I don't want to say forced upon me, but when I was living in the place where the music was being created, you're not getting away from it. And then you realize, oh, this is what it is. I love this. And then before you know it, I'm working the merch table at the Untimely Demise show at Amigos. You know what I mean? Like it got me all in because I had somebody to guide me.
And me and, or actually, do you want to go?
No,
ahead?
I was just kind of to that point that you know, as a young kid, and I feel now I'm more confident in saying I can like multiple genres of music. Whereas when I was a kid, a teenager, it's like, oh, well, I can only listen to this one. I'm a skateboarder,
I
so I can only
identify with
listen to
that.
punk rock.
Dude,
Can't listen
peer
to
pressure's
this.
the
You know,
worst.
it's like
Yeah.
can't let people know that I listen to the Police.
get shunned,
or,
but
You
like,
feel like you're a poser.
Yeah.
You're a poser.
Exactly.
So now at 40 plus, it's like I'll listen to whatever the hell I want to listen
exactly.
to, and if I
Badge of
like it,
honor.
I like it,
Yeah.
and that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, me and Aaron were saying though, like before this show, just like how learning about music through your friends, like that's how you, especially back in the day before the internet and
Yes.
stuff, that's how you found out about it. But even nowadays, like, you know, it progressed where MySpace had their things and everyone put their top bands or whatever, but it's still like,
You'd have I never got into MySpace, but I do know that when you go to someone's MySpace page, a song would play, and you get to pick the song that played.
and you could put your top bands. Like I liked that part of that platform.
Hell
But yeah, in general, I just think learning about music with your friends and stuff is a big part of it. And then you just like bring that nostalgia when you're listening to it at a later point. And just, friends and learning about music and learning from friends about music is such a huge part about it.
Talking music with the All Out of Angst podcast boys here on a Tuesday as we continue on your show. We always love to say, still to our knowledge, the only live show from 4 to 5 p.m. on YouTube, Monday to Friday, located in Saskatoon. If you want to be, what's the line? If you want to stand out, you got to do stuff no one's done before. And here we are doing just that. As we continue talking about musical influences and how the hell did we get to the point we're at today where we can go from, I don't even have to look at it, you can go from NWA to the Beatles, to Phil Collins, to Mastodon, and all the other places, because that's sort of how we are now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And we got a list that we've been sort of collecting, or is that it for the list?
No, so for me, the next part of my musical journey
Thank you.
was getting into really, really heavy metal music.
Here we
so
go.
this would be like, I'm going to say our third, like late 20s, like early 30s.
Yeah.
So at that point, I dropped out of university, obviously with my very mediocre marks, and
So humble in announcing your dropouting.
Yeah, had an illustrious career in concrete work. So I did 2 seasons working concrete, and this is like forming and like breaking ground in January. To like do like it was just off.
I just have one thing to add to that.
Yeah.
I did one shift with SCS, our good friends over at Sotner Concrete Services. My only job was to watch a piece that they had just poured. And I sat there in my car playing my Game Boy, supposedly watching said poured piece. And some kids walked through and I didn't see them because I was playing my Game Boy. And that was the last time I was hired and or involved with SCS in any way. So thanking our friends over at Sotner Concrete Services, a job I can never do apparently. Go ahead.
But so yeah, I just remember specifically pouring this one big job or whatever, and it's like January. It's minus 40 with the wind chill, and it's just so like bleak and dark. So like bands like Arch Enemy and Dimmu Borgir and just all of the In Flames, all of these bands strictly like had 100% of the screaming, like kind of the way I do my black metal-y vocals for Untimely Demise, and it all had that sound. But all of these bands like Dimmu Borgir, they're like Norwegian black metal, but basically it's classical music played through an electric guitar with distortion, and you just trem pick the stuff. But like you can break all these things down, and they're using the same scales that Sibelius and Mozart and Grieg are using.
And that alone just blows my mind.
So,
that
yeah,
you could take something from all the way back and apply it now and have it still be something.
But yeah, I just remember I could not get enough of it because it had this energy of this like really intense, blast beats and stuff. And the vocals were very like, disgusting sounding, but the music was really beautiful. So yeah, that was kind of my face. And then I started singing in Untimely Demise with that voice, and it was a huge part. I started getting into the band Death again, who I modeled my voice after and a lot of my guitar playing after. So huge part of my life was that moment of getting into the really heavy metal.
Very well said. Uncle Mike?
I mean, I guess around that same
point?
time, maybe it doesn't, my musical taste doesn't progress too much, though I did discover Joe Strummer and the Mescaleros. Joe Strummer was in The Clash. Obviously knew him from The Clash, but didn't know him as his, solo or solo-backed band. And that was probably like the biggest one for me because it was, again, different from what I was currently listening to, but it was, rooted in The Clash, but it was a different vibe, and I really got into him, Joe Strummer and Mescaleros. He had solo albums, he had albums with the Mescaleros, his backing band, whatever, and it was just something kind of different, and as I was maybe maturing, I felt I could now listen to it without being judged or putting judgment on myself for liking something that wasn't hardcore or punk rock.
But once you've listened to Lagwagon Hoss like the 10,000th time, sometimes you do need to listen to another album.
Another, and I mean in the same, I don't know, Consumed from England. I was big listener to them. I mean, still in that punk rock genre, but just maybe hadn't listened to them as much. And then there was, I'm trying to remember, you might have to come back to me. It was kind of, he's a guy, and it's kind of electronic. I don't even know what, it's definitely not punk rock, but it's just all instrumental. And, kind of going back to when you're sitting and reading, or, when you're doing work, right, passive listening. So there's music. I can't remember what it is, but found a lot of his albums and kind of really enjoyed them. I guess I was dating my wife at that time, and we would go on trips, and she could only listen to so much Dayglow Abortions and Christ on a Crutch and whatever else.
And it's nice to like me and Aaron did the same thing where you start getting into new music together. So then you're making these memories and starting a life and, getting this is what our relationship sound is or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was nice music for sitting around the campfire, you know, or driving or whatever. But it'll come to me.
Well, that's
can't remember it.
and you worded it very well, because that's sort of like the final phase. That was my final phase. Sorry, as I've gone from the soft stuff, then got into the punk rock. Thought the other stuff was too hard. Then all of a sudden, I'm sitting here, you know, thrashing in my living room to Viking metal, being like, "How did I get here?" You know,
What choices did I
Right?
make?
and then you find yourself relaxing and loving a song, and I always go back to it, like Steve Winwood's "Higher Love," and then you discover Phil Collins, and then you discover all of these different guys who have been doing it for so long, and you spend your whole life being like, well, that's not my kind of music, I'll never listen to that. And then you start doing, you say, well, this is why people listen to this stuff, because it's uplifting, it's fun, it's not politically telling me to do anything, it's just good creative music that's done differently. And being able to finally open up your mind to allow something like that to be okay to like is a battle all in itself, because the peer pressure, and we've all been in these groups of people, like it's the punk rock groups. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I'd have to break up fights between all of my like jock buddies and my punk rock buddies or my metalhead buddies, because it's like, guys, we're all good people here. We don't need to fight at every pit party
No.
every weekend. Like, there's got to be a common ground somewhere. And then you slowly start breaking it down. You get one of these guys who's like, oh, I actually like getting pumped up from a big game listening to this guy's band. It's like, oh, really? And you start opening those doors, and then all of a sudden people realize music isn't only a place to push each other apart, but a very good place for coming together.
Absolutely.
And so that sort of whole lesson goes on. But being able to finally grow old and realize that a song, you know, like Call Me Al, could be just as important as a song like 72 Hookers by NoFX to me, for totally different reasons.
I've always said, like, because this is my goal in life in general, is like, if you lose track of time, you're doing it right. Like, anytime I lose track of time and I'm like, oh, 2 hours just went by, or like every time we're on this show,
Every
it's like, oh,
Tuesday,
man.
yeah, as we look
yeah.
up at the clock, yeah.
But yeah, it's so awesome, and it doesn't matter what, like, music does that for me, where I can just get lost into it, and you know, time flies, or it just goes by, or stand still, however you want to look at it. But yeah, I just think it doesn't matter what the genre is, and it's cool that all of us kind of went through that phase where you got into the heavy stuff, and then like that was my last one, is like the kind
Softening up.
it was a rediscovery of rock, so we got into Scorpions, like specifically the
Love
like
the Scorpions.
Uli John
I don't
Roth.
know anybody who loves the Scorpions. more
Uli
than you,
John
Bob.
Roth era Scorpions. And all Scorpions, but yeah, and then like Thin Lizzy, and you know, really like always like heard Fleetwood Mac, but Stevie Nicks, like her solo stuff, really got into that, and just even Tom Petty and all these things was kind of, that was my last phase, I guess, where, and I listened to everything at this point, like from heavy punk, you know, it doesn't matter,
the way
but
up and down.
but getting to that point where I could listen to, you know, like the rock and truly enjoy it, and yeah. And that was, again, me and Aaron got into that stuff, you know, at the start of our relationship, and it was similar to your situation.
Yeah.
And with that, I will say, nothing can bring a party together more than having everybody, say you're around a fire, doing the dance to Call Me Out. Okay, Paul Simon said, back and forth, the best. You ever done that? You ever line dance like Paul Simon? And Call
I
Me Out?
haven't, but I think
Chevy
I would.
Chase?
I would.
Chevy Chase?
I would throw a little ray gun flair to that.
Of course you would. That's our first ray gun show, I think. I really appreciate that. I feel like you're bundled up.
No,
You're
I
not?
got nothing. I
You're
got
nothing?
nothing.
Are you
yeah.
sure? Are you,
Yeah,
are you swerving us again?
no,
Maybe
again,
just have
the
some
algorithm is like usually about every 3 is kind of when the nonsense comes.
Okay, this is good to know. I will say, Pulse Power with Aiden, new episode every Monday. Apparently, it is now showing on Rogers, on the Rogers network. So the former Shaw was bought out by Rogers. If you go to whatever channel that is on your television, you can find some of our incredible programming here from the Dufferin Avenue Media Network, including the One Bad Podcast with our boys in OBS, as well as Pulse Power with Aiden. And if the viewing room makes the cut, we might have Dragoon and LB as well on your Rogers channel, wherever you find it. I believe it's like on demand or something like that. Whatever it is, it's there free now to enjoy as well. Boys, I feel like we did a lot of good today.
Yeah.
Everyone feeling good?
I feel good.
I think so.
Hey, Damn 20 promo still working over Uncle Mike's?
Still going. UncleMike'sNatural.com. Enter in Damn20 to save 20%.
You're going to buy the
your
stuff
order.
anyway. It's the best stuff in the world. It's changing the game. It's healthy. It's not going to murder you or Mother Nature. Pick it up And not only are you making a difference with the planet, but you're also helping out a very good dude who does some very good stuff. So shout out to you, Uncle Mike, and to that damn 20 promo code. As Dragoon, I feel like we are ready to play us out. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Here he goes. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Maybe. I thought he was ready. I think we threw him off a little bit. He looks perturbed now. I think the computer upset him.
Back to Crab Dragoon.
Yeah. No, I was trying to, when I went like this, I was like, is the transmitter on? That's what I was trying to say. It is on? Okay, well, interesting. No, and it is coming through here. You're right. So I won't even know when we're going to be close. Go ahead, boys. Play it out. As I'm sitting here, hoping that I'll get something. But I don't have anything yet. And I didn't mess with it. Yeah, I believed you because it's green on here now. I just got nothing coming. That's okay. Just yeah. Trust me, Dre. I'm not saying it's your fault, dude. I know it's not you. It's all good. This is why we do live. Yeah, that guy, it's his fault. Network Ryan. We're not getting any Frankie's fingers, so you can just give me like a 30-second cue. As these guys, look, they can even do it when I can't hear. That's how good these guys are. Thank you to Uncle Mike and his All Natural Products, as well as Matt from All the Bands. New episode of the All That Angst podcast coming out on Thursday, so be sure to check that out as we talk about our musical journeys and how we've gotten to the point we are at here in our lives. We had a nice continuation here on your show as well, which is cool. And here come the glasses as he continues to play us out as well. Thank you to Royal Anders. Love you, buddy. He's here hanging out. We're going to have our weekly meeting. I'm very excited. Hopefully he's feeling a little better. He was under the weather last week, so we missed him very much, which is quite sad. As well, thank you to Network Ryan for showing up today and going over some business. That was very, very nice. And to Dragoon as well. How much time we got? 30 seconds? Well, you got to tell me because I got to finish the show, bro. Come on now. Let's be real here. You got these guys working hard. It won't tell you how close we are? Okay, well, I guess if that's the case, I'll just say that's fair. We did have a lot of fun, which we always do. Remember, karma is very, 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 very real. Do good things, and you'll notice very, very quickly they'll start happening to you. That's how we're going to make this world a better place. Let's all be nice to each other, all right? We'll be back tomorrow with another edition at 4 p.m. Until then, have the greatest Tuesday evening of your life. And thanks for watching. Toodaloo. I have no...